Yeah, here with you till 2 o'clock today. I'm Mike Vasilikos. It is the Midday Show, and we always love having guests drop by the studio. And I want to welcome back to XPN, Shakey Graves. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
Shakey Graves in town tonight, playing at Union Transfer, part of the 10th anniversary tour for And the War Came.
That's right, for an album that came out 11 years ago, I think.
It doesn't have to always line up.
We're musicians here. We're not doing a lot of math these days.
Yeah, who needs math?
Yeah, it's all about memories, man.
Yes, well, we'll talk about memories and that album and how the tour has been going. But I felt like I needed to start today by saying thank you to you because the last time we saw you was on the Camden waterfront. You played the Exponential Music Festival. And I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit for folks who perhaps were there or were listening or watching the festival. First of all, there was a band that we had on the lineup fell to illness, and you jumped in. I think it was like 48 hours before.
I think so, yeah.
You hopped on the bill, which was amazing. Thank you. But then, this bizarre thing happened where I think you had to go, and I'll let you tell the story here, but you had to go to Albany to catch a flight to Philly.
Right.
And we kept getting these reports over our radio, like, Shakey Graves is stuck on the tarmac. And we're like, what is going on?
Just me standing on the tarmac.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And there were all these reports. We're like, what is going on? Suffice to say, it was the show that almost didn't happen, but it did happen. That had to be kind of a nutty experience for you.
Right. Well, we were out doing kind of a weird one-off anyway. So it all kind of lined up because, we had our gear and we were out playing a show on that Friday somewhere. So the idea of, or it was Sunday or something, whatever. So we were like, oh, we could just tack one more day on. I'm already outside, I'm out of my pajamas already. So let's just go. What's the big deal? And had to do kind of a last minute. We try and fly in the day before if we plan correctly. So stuff like this can happen. But it was day of flying in and was almost on the airplane, and they made everybody deplane because a small, a Cessna or someone's private helicopter in helicopter training or something had a malfunction, and they just crash landed it onto the runway. So they just effectively closed one entire side of this airport, and it was grim. It was we went through the many stages of grief in an airport, and people started panicking and running to other flights, and then you would see some planes taking on whatever. We stuck to the program and ended up right when I landed, I was still in the mindset of okay, I have 1 hour until I'm supposed to be on stage. So I was fully prepared to run up, plug my guitar in,
and go
and start playing. And you guys were actually nice human beings about it. When I showed up, they were like, "Oh, we just swapped. We just ruined some other band's day and swapped you two on the stage." And I was like, "That was so nice. I wish I had known about that an hour ago, so I didn't poop my pants." But
nobody's day was ruined. Everything worked out. You played. You did sort of the one-man band thing for the festival, which I'm always amazed by watching and kind of humbled by as well when you can see somebody do it as well as you. Tonight at Union Transfer, it's kind of a mix, right? You're gonna have the band, and then you'll do some solo stuff as well, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of always a mix at the shows, just because the recording project I've done for so long, a lot of it is even if it's small, it's usually me with a 4-track, so I double stuff or add things. So I love doing the one-man band show, but there's just some songs I can't, a one man simply cannot or should not do, And so this album too, that's the 10-year anniversary of it. This was kind of the first album that I really, in many ways, this was the first one that I had help on, or that I was okay, I would like to do an album with other people involved, and so it's fitting. You were asking earlier if we were just going to play it all the way through, and we had done that on some of these shows, but the way that I arranged it is one of the songs is me alone playing guitar, and then it's and then there is more stuff, and then one of them is the one-man band setup, and so we realized it was kind of whiplashy when you watch it live, where it's did we make the band stand and stare at me while, just don't move and they won't see you like Jurassic Park, or do they leave? So now we kind of mix it throughout just to make the flow of it all a little better, but we play everything off the record.
Awesome. At XPN, I think a lot of our listeners and on the staff here, we still sort of have a love of the album. So I was kind of curious, when you do a tour like this where you're celebrating the anniversary of a record, and it was a pivotal record for you in a lot of ways. We'll get to that. But when you sequence a record versus put together a set list, and you kind of just touched on that.
Yeah.
They're two different things, but there's got to be similarities too, right?
It's in a lot of ways it's the same thing. The nice part about a set list is that like you can kind of I like to be able to base it on the whatever kind of day, how what mood I'm in, kind of, because some days I'm like, I'm not gonna go out there and fake the funk as hard as possible, like, hey, everybody want to party really hard today? It's like
I was stuck in an airplane for 2
yeah,
hours.
Some days are just, it's a bad feeling. But again, it's like there's kind of no rhyme or reason to it. Some days I think I'm like, the audience is feral, like they're insane. We're in New Orleans. They're drunk as hell. Like, we need to go out and give it to them. And then you walk on stage and everyone gets really silent. And then you scream at them for 30 minutes. And they're like, why would you do this? And you're like, I'm sorry. I thought you guys were rowdy.
Oh, man.
So you got to, it's something that I continuously pick at. And when I'm making a record too, it's like I love playlisting. That's my favorite thing to do. And so that's also my biggest regret throughout my life, probably, is being like, that should have been song 3, whatever. Like, in retrospect, I gripe about that stuff or praise myself on it like a lot.
I love it. Shakey Graves is with us on the Midday Show today at Union Transfer tonight in celebration of the 10th anniversary of And the War Came. I alluded to this. It was sort of a pivotal record. I know you were making music prior to that, but this was the first time like label was really involved. Dearly Departed started getting play across the country on radio stations. Was it exciting at that time? Was it overwhelming? Were you prepared for that moment?
Yes, and no. And yes, I mean,
Kind
like,
of?
yeah, I mean, I always have had a love for, like pop music and in its sluttiness, and like, honestly, just like, I grew up listening to the radio too. So I always really had fantasized or dreamed about what it would be like to have a song that like did well or was on the radio, you know? And at the same time, I was a very like, still am a very like opinionated, like indie, like to find some of my favorite stuff is like, what I like about it is that this person died super hungry, in a shack somewhere in obscurity, but they made this one beautiful album or whatever. So this was definitely like, my label is really sweet and let me have all of those creative whims, that
you can
I
have your
want.
Blaze Foley moments, and then
Exactly.
also,
Hopefully,
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into getting a song into people's, cars and houses and minds and stuff like that. And I am really grateful that, we did all that. But yeah, this was the first time that kind of took off. My touring went into another gear. And it was so stressful. It's like, it is pretty bittersweet. My favorite thing about looking back at this time is sort of acknowledging how traumatic in some ways it was. And then also just being so grateful because I get to look at all the doors that open and the people that I've gotten to meet and things I got to do because of it. So it's like, it's really a double-edged sword in that regard. But yeah, it's like, I have nothing but respect and empathy for anybody who sets their, puts their toe in the water of a creative endeavor that is up to the public's scrutiny, like going out. This was the first time I ever came here was to do promo, I think, for that record on the like very first big tour that we did for this. I still remember it pretty tactilely.
And here you are 11 years later.
Yeah. Exactly. So much younger and fitter and yeah, it's like I just had a daughter last year, year
congrats.
before, and so they just flew in last night, and like it's a little different than showing up crispity crunchity in a Sprinter and being like, what is World Cafe,
Yeah.
And now I'm like, bye baby, I'm gonna go to the radio
Oh,
station.
it changes everything.
That's crazy stuff. Yeah.
Shakey Graves with us live on the Midday Show today. You've got your guitar. Would you play us one?
Sure.
What do you want to do?
Well, I'm going to play a song that will sound nothing like this when I play it tonight, just like everything. It's called If Not For You.
easy old world if a little old you. If you see that sun, here's an obvious proof. Well, it comes around after the moon goes down, just to have a little fun until the day is done. So I say, why? Yeah, do you even try? Or to find an alibi? If you come around here, I hope you stay the whole damn night. And bring some friends and bring some folks. Yeah, come along and tell some jokes. Ooh, and if they're anything like me, baby, just you wait and see. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. Yeah, well, if all the lights said stop and the oceans they did drop, then I'd always feel so on top, if not for you. Yeah, but oh, how time went by and the oceans they did dry, and I always felt so hypnotized, but not by you. Yeah, not by you. Yeah, not by you.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Shakey Graves live on XPN. If not for you, appreciate you playing that for us.
Of course.
Tonight, Union Transfer celebrating 10 years of And the War Came. I know you got a bunch more shows on this run, celebrating the anniversary of the record. You're going to hook up with Trampled by Turtles for some shows, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those guys are great. And, the one thing I did want to ask you about, because the last record that you made, Movie of the Week, that was sort of born out of a project where you were going to score a film, right? We won't go down that rabbit hole, but I know film has always been an important part of your life. You've acted, you've talked about how you wanted to score films. And did I see this correctly? You actually hosted a film festival this year?
Yeah, the last 2 years. Well, because we made so much, one of the other things that happened with Movie of the Week is that it was definitely like a pandemic-based project where, all these musicians now luckily who are my touring band, these are all just people that are friends of mine who are in tons of other cool projects or usually have totally full plates. And that was kind of the first time that I was like, hey guys, doing anything? And they were all like, no. And so we went and kind of started to make this endless recording project. And so we recorded each song that's on that record. There's like 6+ versions of it. With this really amazing band that we put together. And it kind of, when it came down to track listing and playlisting and finding the songs, it was like went full Sophie's Choice, where I'm like, I don't know, like you can mix and match the album in so many ways, that I came up with this harebrained scheme of how to release it all, which was that I have a website where you can go and kind of, it's got all these different alternate takes and different songs. It's like there's over 100 tracks in there, and you can mix and match and make your own like movie soundtrack. It randomizes all of them.
Yeah.
And then this was like, I put this all together in like burgeoning early, slightly less evil AI days, where it's like we have like, you can put in a keyword and it makes you a little prompt of like, we came up with a good prompt that's like, you know, I forget exactly what it is, but it basically makes you a short synopsis of a fake movie. And then, you know, you can use your imagination that those tracks that it gives you is the soundtrack to that film. So then to bring that to fruition, I was like, well, what if we had people actually shoot these movies, you know? And so the film festival was like a competition where we had people, you could make a short, or you know, you could make as long of a movie as you wanted, but it was to bring those bizarre prompts, and the only rule was you had to use the music from that soundtrack.
That's so cool.
And so some of the stuff is truly amazing. Some of it's like, you know, terribly shot on a phone and also amazing in its own right. And me and my friend, I got to make one each year, and that's been a real highlight. I think kind of forced projects are usually very cathartic and helpful, where it's like, you know, you're under the gun and you have to make a movie with your friends in a week. It's like, there's nothing like that. It's really sweet.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking some time to join us on XPN. You've always been a good friend of the radio station. We appreciate it.
You know, if you call me and I'll try and get past that tarmac anytime. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Hey, if folks need info on the gig tonight, check out our concert calendar at xpn.org. Shakey Graves, thanks for being here.
Anytime.
And here's another one from Shakey. It's XPN.